to New York from the DC area. And during my first month here, I was looking for all sorts of events and things to do to kind of get myself familiar with the city and especially anything that had to do with books. And I came across on Iman Hariri-Kia's page in particular, because we love her, a event, and it was called Lit Out Loud, where her book or chapters of her book were going to be read aloud at a bar, and you could listen and then have a little conversation with the author. And I thought the creators of Lit Out Loud, Kennedy and Temi, thank you for being here, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, so
of
Kennedy and I met around this time last year, actually. So we both participated in the Yale Writers Workshop, which is a workshop that Yale hosts every year, bringing together writers from all over the world for workshops and generative exercises, and just kind of like a getaway to focus on writing and building community around writing. We were just reminiscing on our time at the Yale Writers Workshop, and Kennedy brought up the idea of like, how are we continuing to like be in community around literature and reading out loud. And she had this idea of, and Kennedy can probably tell it better than I can, but she had this idea of she did like popcorn reading of The Summer I Turned Pretty with her friends.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so we just kind of talked about that and we were like, well, we could do that on like a bigger scale with books, with people who like books and who are interested in hearing stories being read out loud. We both have been in book clubs and things like that, but nothing that was centered on telling the stories audibly, like when we were kids and we'd go to the library and there'd be story time. And so we felt like there was space for that in the city and we decided to put it together. And that was kind of the origin for Lit Out Loud.
And I think the really special thing about meeting up in the city at Little Hen over, finger sandwiches and tea is that really this idea was not premeditated, or like this was not the reason for our meeting that day. It was just like, hey, I'm in the city, you're in the city, let's catch up, would be fun to reminisce. And I think I had just had such a stellar time reading the third book of The Summer I Turned Pretty with my friends on that summer that I'm like, this is front and center, this is on my mind.
Yeah.
I have to tell my friends.
The event that I went to was in March, I believe, and it was Female Fantasy, which is Iman Hariri-Kia's newest novel. And I had read it already, and so it was really cool to listen to it being read aloud to me as I'm sitting there with my cocktail, like with my sister who hasn't read it yet. And like, it was really cool to not only hear it be read aloud, but to hear it be read aloud by the person who does the audio book is so cool. And then personally to see the author's face, like watching Iman see her book be read aloud was like such a beautiful moment. And hearing Samantha, who was the who was the audiobook actor, like read it aloud, was just so cool. So I commend you guys on this like creation in this event. I think it's a really, really niche and great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to kind of add on to something you mentioned there, I think the sort of stage that we can give to the authors and the narrators, me not really being in this space before was kind of like an unexpected benefit of, I think, what Lit Out Loud is doing, because we're bringing these people who generally don't have face-to-face interactions with the people who admire their work. We're bringing the narrators and the authors face-to-face with the people who admire their work from afar or in their earphones or sitting on the couch reading. And so that's been really cool to just like be able to shower them with the appreciation that they deserve in person.
Also, like your dreams and your goals can change, and that's okay too. Like, I also used to be very afraid of saying things out loud because I'm like, oh, people will hold me accountable to it. If I said I was going to do it and then I don't do it, then I look like someone who doesn't finish what they start, right? But like, you can change your mind and you can also evolve the things that you start. So there's truly no pressure. Yeah.
That's so true.
Especially in a new field, like my background is in campaigns and government, and I studied history and political science. So like my only reference point for the world of novel writing or creative writing or any of that is being a reader myself. And Yeah, I think just like telling people about something you have a real interest in or a dream to pursue or accomplish, achieve, helps them support you along the way too. Because then,
Mm,
like, none of my family is in like this whole world
yeah.
is foreign to my immediate family, my extended family. And then once they learned I wanted to pursue it, they were like, Kennedy, have you read this book? Kennedy, did you know that our
Yes.
doctor's son's wife is writing a book? Like,
Yeah.
you should talk to her. And just like all these ways of like people out in the world connecting the dots, finding the puzzle pieces that will like
Hmm.
support you on your journey is fun too.
Yeah, that's so true. And another thank you to both of you because after going to the Lit Out Loud event, I reached out to Samantha Brentmoor, who's the narrator for Iman Hariri-Kia's book, and she's going to be a guest this season as well. And so I
Mm.
appreciate that. And she's gonna be the first
Amazing.
narrator I have. And so like
So
but when it comes to picking the books and picking the genres of the books and what books you're gonna do for these events, do you have a preference? Because also as we'll talk about in the next episode, like each of you is your own reading taste, but like you're also curating something for a broader audience. And
Yeah,
so,
I think like it is a challenge because the world of literature is just so vast, that I think also if we all personally like look at our reading list, mine only grows, and then like you'll hear about things written 80, 100 years ago, and you're like, what? That's amazing. How did I never know about this? And it joins
mhm,
the list. But I do think there is a certain type of book. Like I like books with like a strong degree of interiority. Um, but I do think like those don't lend themselves the best to being read aloud. And even like when it comes to audiobooks, there are some books where I'm like, I need to see words on the page. I need to be able to go back. um, and so, yeah, I think especially for the format of the events that we've been programming so far, short stories have lent themselves really well
mm,
to a limited space of time where people aren't like reading the book in advance and they're maybe reading it after. But just to, you can have beginning, middle, end all tied up in a bow,
mhm.
in 10 to 20 minutes. And so I think that has guided a lot of the things I've put on our Lit Out Loud like working list.
Sure.
And yeah, I think Temi also can speak to the way that we've used kind of the seasons to work into themes that we want to highlight.
yeah, so we also kind of take into account what's going on in the larger culture.
Mhm.
And so, for example, in February was Black History Month. So we decided to go with two Zora Neale Hurston stories because Zora Neale Hurston was such an iconic part of the Harlem Renaissance. We're in New York. She's a Black author who has lent much to Black history. And her stories are really fun to read out loud, are full of really fun characters. So that just kind of made sense to me. It's like, oh, of course we'll read Zora Neale Hurston in February in New York City. And so we also do kind of think about what's happening around us, you know, what is the cultural, I guess, zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And we also are just looking for stories that are interesting and relevant, and also just organic connections that we've made. So our last event in April was a reading of Kaya Freitz's brand new novella, Rip LOL. And Kaya is somebody that we met through Bill, who he knows through the acting and narrating world. And she's an incredible actress who's won so many awards. And she just happened to write a novella. And we thought, okay, how cool would it be to have the author read her work, especially because she is a professional actor herself. So we also do try to take advantage of some of those connections that we've been making as we're on this journey.
But I think so far, and this wasn't like expressly strategic, but I think Lit Out Loud so far has had a really even balance of kind of the classics and contemporary
Mm.
works where like being able to collaborate with living authors that are New York based is really like the dream. It's so fun to be able to have the author of that work there in person and representing the story that they told. But like, I also kind of geek out over some of the classics, especially because those authors have New York connections as well, and often the stories have New York connections. So I, on my dream list for Lit Out Loud to read still is The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton, just because it kind of blew my mind. It's the first book I ever read by Edith Wharton, and she's just such an incredible writer. And then the fact that it all happens around Manhattan, and I think I'm not from New York, I'm from Iowa. So to me, I can kind of still operate with like a starry-eyed wonder in this city. And I think seeing, like, getting to place fiction in the place that it was set as like a bookish person is so fun to me.
Yeah.
And so like that is a dream of mine, to see that performed via Lit Out Loud. And then also we're hoping to do Here's New York by E.B. White. So yeah, things that this city is so great. Let's sing its praises some more.
And thank you both for being here. I greatly appreciate you giving me any ounce of your time. So I really appreciate it. And especially on this Sunday. So thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And everybody stay tuned because they'll be back for a book club episode later this week.